Hello Fanatics, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 269, a little bit later than usual, but better late than never. We are about to enter into the final week of 2024, so make sure to jump into the charts. Let's have a look what we can potentially have for next week and make sure to finish the year really strong. Now, to start up with the economic calendar, we actually have quite a busy week ahead of us. So we're having Monday already rolling out with all the PMIs. So we're having the flash PMIs, manufacturing and services. Again, they usually go French, German, then Eurozone, then GBP, and then USD. So Monday actually could be quite volatile. Then on Tuesday, we have retail sales here for the US. We have Canadian CPI as well. We have some GBP and some Euro news as well. Wednesday, Fed rate, right? Expecting to cut the rate by 25 basis points. So that could potentially be a little bit bearish for the dollar. Now, can that get already priced in on Monday and Tuesday? We're definitely going to see about that. But this one is very likely going to cause a lot of volatility, which makes Wednesday a little bit of a low probability day to be trading because the whole day is going to be awaiting the Fed rate decision here. All right. So Monday and Tuesday, definitely tradable. Then Wednesday, potentially skip. And then on Thursday, we're having monetary policy for Japan, for the Bank of England as well. And then we're having the GDP and unemployment claims and a couple of other things here for the US dollar. And then on Friday, we also finish with the PCE price index. So every single day this week is absolutely tradable, apart from Wednesday, for which I will definitely wait for this one to get out because the whole day could potentially consolidate until the news. And then potentially Thursday is going to bring in a lot of volume. Okay, so every single day tradable apart from Wednesday. Let's have a look at the charts right now. Just real quick, make sure to join my free school community. We're having an amazing community here sharing a lot of value, but not to say that the classroom is a full course and this is going to be better than a lot of the courses that you have paid for. So make sure to join. It's the first link in the description. All right, as always, we're going to get started with the DXY. Now, of course, you know, since last week and pretty much for a couple of weeks, we have been reacting from that weekly bullish imbalance in an overall super bullish structure. We had 2 weeks of an overall pullback here, and this week is starting to give us a little bit of a bullish indication. Also breaking above the previous candle's high here also indicates that potentially buyers are in control. And right now, if I'm to make a potential forecast, I would say that I will be targeting this high. That is the previous monthly high. So let's see if we're actually going to commit going bullish. Taking into account we're going to be having an interest rate cut from the Fed. So let's see. Now, what I dislike is that we're not having any daily bullish imbalances going higher, apart from a very little one here that you can't even draw properly because it's very little. So overall, again, overall structure is bullish, breaking structure above here. So I'm definitely more bullish than I am bearish. Now, of course, I would definitely love to see, for example, Monday, Tuesday to give us a little bit of a pullback. And then potentially like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to potentially start heading towards that drawn liquidity. That will be the absolute ideal week that I would imagine, but of course we know that whatever you imagine doesn't end up always happening. So yeah, beginning of the week, potentially 1 or 2 days of a pullback and then expansion higher will be what I will definitely be looking for. And then also what makes it a little bit indecisive getting into Monday is that we don't have anything to work with. You can see the only daily zone we have is all the way down there. And on the hourly time frame, we also don't have anything. Now, you know, I trade with a lot of imbalances. I always look for imbalances because that to me signifies momentum, order flow. Like you can see, for example, here, we had a bullish break of structure with an imbalance. The market pulls back, holds. We had another bullish break with an imbalance. The market breaks, pullbacks, and eventually holds, right? And if you check out for something like this right now, we don't have it. We don't have anything bullish and we don't have anything bearish. So what you have to be looking for in this case is just for something new to be created. Now, I would either look, for example, a pullback and then a very sharp push with an imbalance to potentially then start looking to take trades from here with an imbalance. Or guess what? If the market actually starts guiding me lower with bearish fall imbalances, I might then start forecasting that the market might want to reach for that daily bullish imbalance here. Okay, so kind of I always give you scenarios like pretty much those are kind of the two scenarios that I can give, because a lot of times, guys, we are analyzing the charts on the weekend and coming into Monday, for example, it's not as clear. We don't really have any zones. We don't really have any areas to work with, right? So we literally have to wait for Monday to show us where it wants to go, give us the zones, and then we potentially adapt, right? Even if you, for example, have a look at last week here, which started pretty much right there, we didn't have anything to work with. So then it goes, you can see the market opens, it pulls back a little bit, and then it starts giving you the zone. There is the first volatile zone, there is the second volatile zone, and then there is the third volatile zone, right? This is why I always say you don't really need to have a bias getting into the week. Allow it a few days to play out, and then you're gonna get clarity, all right? So that's the DXY. I am definitely more bullish than bearish, but it really depends on how it plays out. Having a look at EURUSD, pretty good this week. I took a lovely win on EURUSD. I had 2 members also pass their challenges on EURUSD this week, so a very nice week overall. Now, if you again remember last week, we said that the market has tapped into this weekly bearish imbalance, so we were definitely short biased. Getting then into the daily time frame, what I also really liked about EU is that we did not have anything bullish on the daily. There is no daily bullish imbalances, which means that there is nothing to stop price pushing lower. And you can see we went all the way towards that low here, which is the previous weekly low. That was the overall liquidity objective for this week, which we actually fulfilled. Now, getting into next week, what I once again don't like, similar to the DXY, is that we do not have a daily bearish imbalance. I would have loved from that weekly zone to get a daily bearish, and then right now to potentially say, all right, guys, on Monday, I'm looking for a tap inside that daily imbalance, and for us to then potentially continue going lower. But we don't have this, which sucks. All right. So then we have to transfer onto the volatile time frame. And what I'm seeing happening on Friday is after we swept that liquidity here of the previous weekly low, we actually had a 4-hourly impulse higher with an imbalance that the market tapped and currently kind of stopped just right in the middle. Okay. Now, pretty much this week, I'm not really going to do a trade breakdown here to keep it straight to the point. I showed it from that volatile imbalance, beautiful move. No, I showed it from this volatile imbalance here. Absolutely bonkers move to the downside. I made 3% on that move. And then on the next day, we also had another one that my members took, but for me, it was not a perfect setup, so I didn't really take it. And then it still ended up going lower. So currently, I don't have a bias necessarily, right? I am definitely more bearish, but if the DXY starts going, for example, lower, right, then this one can potentially start going higher. I want to see how this very last volatile imbalance is going to do. Is it going to push the market higher, follow through to the upside, make new volatile bullish imbalances with a new, for example, break of structure right here? Or again, guys, like the other scenario is, are we going to invalidate that volatile bullish imbalance, print a bearish one, and then start going down? Again, getting into Monday, I don't have a clear bias. We have to wait for the market to give us some zones, exactly how we waited last week. Monday opens, kind of consolidates a little bit, gives us the zone, that is when we take the trades, okay? So again, not a very clear bias. I'm gonna be waiting for either a bullish continuation higher with an imbalance or a bearish continuation down with an imbalance. Whatever happens, I am gonna be there to flow with it. After a very long consolidation on GBP/USD, we're finally starting to get some move, again, from that weekly bearish imbalance here. We had 1 week, 2 weeks inside, but you can see we're still holding from it. And right now, the third week is actually starting to roll down, which right now looks pretty good for us to start taking this low. But again, that is a little bit big of a call. Now, look at this, guys, right? Last week's I was preaching EURUSD because EURUSD was a little bit bearish. It was a little bit better. Right now, the GBP/USD has a daily bearish imbalance that is coming from that weekly one. Now that is a pair that I would pick right now because that simply tells me that here within the last 2 days of last week, we introduced a lot of bearish pressure. Do you see anything here to the left to potentially stop price? No, there was a daily bullish imbalance here, but that has already fulfilled its purpose. So all the way towards that low, there is nothing to stop it, which is what I call a no struggle area. Right, so the market doesn't really have anywhere to potentially react from. Now, the more you start refining, for example, you can see an area like this, like on this volatile time frame here. This is what I call reaction areas as well. So zooming in on the volatile time frame, I even see a very small volatile bearish imbalance here. So this can do many things, by the way, right? If we pull back straight into that volatile imbalance on the open, then we can push into that volatile reaction area. And then from the reaction area, we can get a reaction and then potentially a continuation, okay? But if this volatile reaction area actually fails, right? If it fails, then it can get us into that daily zone. And then from that daily zone, I think we're gonna have a pretty nice shorting opportunity, all right? So looking at GU, I will say I am definitely more bearish. Now, we do have news from Bank of England, I believe. We do have an interest rate decision. So let's see how that's going to play out. But those are kind of the two setups that I'm going to be looking for. Okay. Now, the daily time frame can also form, keep in mind, another imbalance after Monday closes. If the market does not cross this line, that is our invalidation line for a new imbalance. Let's say the market kind of opens and makes like a candle like that. Then I'm going to draw a brand new daily bearish imbalance, and I'm absolutely going to look to short that one. Okay, so let's see. If you want to trade on Monday, then look for some sort of a shorts from that hourly zone. If you want a high probability trade, wait for Monday to pass, wait for a daily bearish imbalance to form, a new one here. And then, of course, we're going to get some good shorts because we're also coming from that weekly zone. Okay, so GU looking quite bearish. Let's see if that bias plays out. Let's check out Aussie dollar. Now, I haven't been loving this pair for quite a while. We came up to take out this liquidity point that is very important. It's a very major swing point. We kind of took it out here on Wednesday, and then we started chopping. And you can see on the daily time frame, like since the very last daily imbalance that we have, correct me if I'm wrong, was right here on the 13th and 14th of November, right? We might have a small one somewhere here, but I don't really think so. This pretty much means that the volume on that pair has really gotten low. And you can see this week pretty much didn't do, like, sure, it made a very nice pop on Monday and then it traded lower, but the last 3 days were absolute chop. And then, of course, transferring this onto the volatile time frame is where it kind of gets really tricky. Like, super tricky pair. Monday started very bullish. Tuesday flipped bearish, right? It actually ended up, there was an opportunity right here. I think that is the best opportunity. Why? Because then you saw the bullish one fails, the bearish ones were forming. We had a new one, it got tapped, you had your draw on liquidity. So that is a good short trade here. But then you can see immediately after this, we do not make a new forwardly bearish imbalance. We make a bullish one once again. You think that it's going to go long. It flips you down for a short. And right now, how it ended up is tapping into this forwardly bearish imbalance, and also it created a brand new one down there. Now, I would say, for example, EU and GU are looking a lot better than AU. So, like, if you're looking for a trade on that one, I would say I am more bearish, let's say, towards this low, for example. But knowing the liquidity that it already took within that massive, what is it, a weekly? Yeah, massive weekly swing point here. It could start pulling back as well, and I'm just not loving the daily kind of volume here, right? We have these forwardly bearish imbalances, but when you don't have anything on the daily, the market's gonna do tricky stuff like this. Like, so those are pure liquidity grabs, right? To kind of make people, to induce people into longs, to really kind of show you, oh, the market is going higher. Okay, I'm gonna go long right now because the market is massively impulsing. And then just to very slowly reverse on you, okay? So if you ask me, I am bearish on Aussie dollar. This is kind of a setup that I'm going to be looking for, but I would prefer not to trade it because, for example, I'm much better focused on GU or EU. But bearish bias, this is the only zone that we have. So let's see what happens when the market opens. What I can immediately see is that NZUSD is a lot more bearish than Aussie dollar. Look at that massive weekly candle. Wow, that's very nice. But yeah, overall, you can see Monday again gave us that fake push into the upside, and then we had pretty much 4 bearish days. It is a little bit weaker than Aussie dollar, so even if you're looking to trade like NZD or Aussie dollar, I would say maybe trade NU, but then you can see that it didn't give you those same hourly zones here, and then it's also not having one here. Like you can see, for example, Aussie dollar had a couple of hourly zones that were retested. This one here, not really. It also had that one, which is the same as the one on the Aussie dollar, for example. But currently, exactly where it's sitting right now, there is no bearish imbalances. It's absolutely at a massive lower low. There is nothing for us to pull back on the daily time frame. So to me, this pair just looks like a skip, right? Again, guys, there are a lot of better pairs out there, like EU, GU right now. Maybe we're going to check out gold and USD JPY. NZUSD, not my favorite. I said that I would much better short NZUSD, but looking at it right now, Aussie dollar has a little bit more cleaner structure. It has a drawn liquidity. It has a zone to work with. This one doesn't really. So for me, NZUSD is a skip. I don't have any zones. If it doesn't develop like very nicely during the incoming week, I'm very likely not gonna touch it. The uncertainty on gold continues. We have been chopping pretty much for 3 weeks right here. You can see what we did this week is we took out that liquidity and we very massively rejected. Now again guys, I can start drawing all the zones, but by now you probably know that gold is into a monthly zone. Let me click that properly. There we have a monthly zone. It was also coming from a weekly zone right here. And then if I start dropping onto the daily time frame, we also had quite a few daily zones as well. But you can see kind of those are the main twos, but the weekly already gave the reaction, so that is kind of already taken. The one thing that I still keep on my chart is that monthly one, because that is kind of overall the bigger picture. But for example, we did have some introduction of bullishness here into the beginning of the week. By the way, there were some nice longs. Even 4-hourly time frame zones were tapped. But then as soon as we took out that liquidity, we can see Thursday and Friday very massively bearish. Right now, the market is tapping into this daily bullish imbalance here. But looking at how sharply it came into it, I would even start saying that this low can potentially become a logical liquidity target if the market doesn't open on Monday and just all of a sudden starts like making bullish order flow. Then we drop to the 4-hourly time frame. Now again, I want you to, if you're trading gold, for example, there is that beautiful long trade from here. After the market showed you what it wants to do on Monday, pulls back, Tuesday gives you the long, another imbalance here, taps, yet another long, right? But then you also have to know your higher time frames, right? Are you gonna take a long from here? No. Why? Well, because we took massive liquidity and we would expect the pullback, all right? And then the pullback pretty much happens and you got a beautiful short opportunity here. I believe some community members of mine took this one. And currently you can see how we're ending up the week is with a lot of bearish order flow here on the 4-hourly time frame. In fact, like you can see, we have so many 4-hourly bearish imbalances. Like, well, not so many. I kind of saw more. Do we have one here? Yeah, we do have one here, but I'm not going to draw it because it's too little. So currently, once again, like if you zoom out a little bit to see what's going on, we are in a consolidation. Like since we started that range here, we came in right now to collect the liquidity and right now we're back into the range. What is the definition of a consolidation? Is just directionless and it usually tends to work very nice with liquidity. So in this case, you can see we took out that liquidity above that high and right now we can be heading to take the liquidity below that low and then back again, right? So then of course the market can start pulling back in and then maybe again take it from the upside until it finds a breakout, all right? Until it truly finds a breakout. How do you know if it's a breakout? Well, this one, if it closed very nicely above it, made structure above it, made an imbalance above it, then I will definitely look to long. But this was a pure liquidity grab. Let me know if you want me to make a video on what is a liquidity grab and what is a break. I have a very nice system around that. But currently, this is how we're ending up the week, and I can't really say if I'm bearish or bullish, honestly. We're tapping into that daily zone with a lot of bearishness. The 4-hourly time frame is super bearish. I would honestly like to short it a little bit more because we're already kind of following through on the bearishness. Here we have a 4-hourly zone following through with a new break of structure and with new imbalances bearish. So I would even much better play like a setup like this, targeting the opposing side of the liquidity. But if the market, for example, opens up bullish, reacts from that zone, and then it builds bullish order flow, right? Then you can start targeting the highs again, right? It's all about the flow. It's all about the flow. If this setup happens here, I'm gonna go long. If this setup happens here with bearish imbalances, I'm gonna go short. This is the liquidity target high. This is the liquidity target low. We really have to wait right now for the 4-hourly time frame to show us the direction, which again, guys, you gotta be patient. You gotta wait for it. So let's see. On USD JPY, I'm gonna start with the monthly time frame because let's not forget, we're tapping into a monthly bullish imbalance here that is a very powerful zone, and we're gonna be targeting potentially that monthly high. Dropping onto the weekly time frame, we had a little bit of a supply and demand situation that I told you we potentially have to wait for to see what's gonna happen. But looking at the weekly candle right now, it doesn't look that this weekly bearish imbalance is actually gonna do anything. All right, and even if we have a look on the daily time frame, the market tapped it here on Monday, so it should have started to go lower if that weekly imbalance was going to do something. But no, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, absolutely bullish. This weekly imbalance did not do anything. Now, what I again don't like entirely is that we're not getting a daily bullish imbalance somewhere higher here to potentially look to trade from something. The very last reaction area that we have is this daily zone. So right now, if I drop to the quality time frame, I would love to see something to work with. Well, we have this little guy here. All right. So what I'm gonna say is that just judging by that very recent price action, I would say that I'm definitely bullish on USD JPY, but I see two potential setups. The market pulling back into this 4H and then potentially going higher from here, or waiting for Monday to close to create a new daily bullish imbalance right here. Okay, so wait for Monday's candle to close. You're gonna get a daily bullish imbalance here, potentially, if it doesn't like very massively retrace and tag this line. Okay, if it doesn't do that, I would wait for a daily bullish imbalance to serve me as a POI, and then I'm gonna long from there. If you're rushing to trade on Monday, that is the only zone that you have. Pull back into it and a continuation higher. And then of course, like a third scenario will be for the market to just start massively expanding higher, making new zones, and then pretty much traveling from there to the highs. Okay, so that's USD JPY. Definitely nice looking bullish. Let's see how it's gonna play out. I would much prefer to skip Monday, wait for that daily imbalance, tap in, and then we can have a very nice long. So let's see. With USD JPY also getting quite bullish, we're gonna see Euro Yen and GBP Yen potentially pop higher a little bit. On the daily time frame here on Euro JPY, it was super choppy up until Friday. So I wouldn't say this is a high probability pair right now, because Euro USD and USD JPY are gonna get some divergence, which is not good for these cross pairs. Popping higher, but again, you can see on the daily time frame there was literally a very big consolidation until we kind of popped here on Friday due to potentially some sort of news or something. We do have, for example, that volatile bullish imbalance. So similar to UJ, if we put back into this one and if we get some sort of a bullishness, that could be a setup. But again, yeah, we're coming from a massive consolidation. We don't have much to work with on the higher time frames like the daily. The quality time frame is giving us that bullish imbalance. So let's see. Very clear setup, very easy. Let's see if it's gonna play out. But personally, I would just prefer to long the main one. That is USD JPY, all right? EJ and GJ are a little bit tricky, all right? So that's the setup. And then my draw on liquidity will be that daily imbalance to the left that I drew at first. Checking out GJ now, do you remember that GBP USD was super weak? Well, how is GJ strong? Well, that is because of USD JPY, all right? But when GU is bearish and UJ is bullish, it just doesn't work. That pair is gonna consolidate if it's gonna be like this. So not much to do right here. In fact, it's a little bit more bullish than bearish. You can see we have a very tiny little bit of a daily bullish imbalance here. That could be a play like this, but I just don't like it. We have the same daily reaction area here. Oh, the market already took that reaction area, right? You can see the precision of the way I trade all those zones and the higher time frames, and knowing where we encounter and what we encounter is just so nice. Tapping into that daily, giving us the reaction right now. So currently the quality time frame is going to be super key. But what you see is that the quality time frame gave you some bearishness, the quality time frame gave you some bullishness from here, and right now it is absolutely stuck. So what I do in such situations is just wait, right? Wait for the breakout to the upside to show me that it actually wants to go up with a very nice bullish imbalance, or guess what? Wait for the breakdown to the downside with a bearish imbalance. That is going to tell me the market wants to go down. And usually I have targets. Like for example, if I take short, I'm going to target that daily small imbalance here that you can't even see. If I'm going to the upside, well, of course, you can target a little bit higher because the market has already tapped into that daily imbalance. You'd already reacted. So you can even go as far as that high. But of course, if you get a satisfying risk to reward ratio, you can definitely take profits before that. So that is GBP JPY. I will just wait for some sort of a momentum to tell me where it wants to go, and then I'm going to strike. All right, let's check out some indices starting from ES. Now I had a personally very nice week on the futures this week. Overall bearish bias. We did have some very nice moves. Now, what are we currently getting is this weekly bullish imbalance that is very nicely aligning with that order block, that base to the left. Okay, so to me, a very nice macro setup will be to tap into that weekly and then for us to potentially continue expanding higher. But I don't think we're gonna do that very fast and very nice, simply because we're entering into a very long period of bank holidays. Okay, and you can see right now we're starting to slow down. We're starting to chop a little bit at the top. We don't get like anything on the daily time frame, and then pretty much the quality time frame has been up. It also, you can see we didn't much get something on the volatile time frame, but on the intraday, because I'm really scalping the futures, I'm not paying that much attention to the daily and to the volatile time frame. But currently you can see we're getting a full hourly bearish imbalance to potentially guide us into that weekly. So if I'm trading like freshly on the market open, for example, I will be looking for something like this. That is, I think, what could be a very nice early week trade. So that could potentially even happen on Monday, for example. We can pull back into that zone and we can flush towards that weekly. And then as we tap that weekly zone, we really have to see what's going on. All right, is the market going to pick up some bullish steam and start guiding us higher? Is it going to react and then start breaking the reaction here and start guiding us lower? Right, that is the key question. Now getting into next week, freshly next week, this is what I see. All right, we also have this very nice order block here, this very nice 3 buy candles before the sell-off. Why did that disappear? And tapping into that volatile zone, driving it lower. We have these lows as liquidity here, but also that weekly imbalance is also the liquidity that we're going to be seeking. So let's see. I have a bearish bias on ES into that weekly zone. Let's see how it's going to play out. On the other hand, Nasdaq is giving us some bullish indications by actually closing the week bullish and making a weekly bullish imbalance, right? So longs on NQ this week worked pretty nicely. And you can see, yeah, we pretty much had that Wednesday CPI. That was a very nice expansion day. Then Thursday consolidated, and then Friday was also very nice. But we also kind of took out the current weekly high, and then we rejected a little bit. You can see that we don't have anything to work with on the daily, which makes that weekly objective very, I was gonna say sexy, but yeah, you could call it that. Very appropriate, let's say, right? We can definitely start making some bearish order flow towards that weekly zone. But if ES taps into the weekly and then starts pushing higher, then Nasdaq could just very simply continue higher. Now, of course, here we kind of ended up the week tapping into that weekly, into that volatile bullish. Do you see the difference? Look at Nasdaq. It's actually bullish. Look at ES. It's very bearish, right? You see? So if you want to be shorting something, it's going to be ES. If you want to be longing something, it's going to be NQ right now. And currently it is, I really cannot say what is going to happen. I don't want to say that the market is just going to rocket from here, from that volatile imbalance, because it might want to seek a little bit lower, maybe come to take some liquidity, as long as, for example, ES taps into the weekly imbalance, right? Usually they move in tandem. So if ES decides to push lower into the weekly, then very likely Nasdaq is also going to do something like this. But it's not a come to that weekly zone, but it's probably just going to take some liquidity from down there. And then if, for example, ES aligns bullish, then this one is also going to start aligning bullish. So that could be something that we can be looking for into next week. But honestly, right now, with this sort of price action, I cannot say much. We don't have anything on the daily. The only thing we have is this weekly. And then we're ending up with that forward bullish imbalance that currently looks like it's kind of not really holding, right? Let's see. We're going to need potentially Monday to show us where it wants to go, and then everything after Monday is potentially tradable apart from Wednesday. Let's see. All right, Nasdaq is definitely the stronger index. So if you're looking to short something, short ES. And if you get a long setup on indices, long NQ. Now, I told you to short ES, but I would say short YM. Look at that massive weekly bearish candle, fully invalidating that weekly bullish imbalance that we have. So what is the next logical target? It's going to be that weekly low. I mean, if we don't have anything on the daily, which we do, we have a little bit of a daily reactionary here that we're tapping into. But look at the daily time frame. Like sometimes I think I have to be looking at YM as well and then potentially take some trades on YM. I might start marking it up because look at that beautiful bearishness here. While, for example, ES and Nasdaq were kind of a little bit choppy, really failing to pick a direction. Are we bullish? Are we bearish? This one just knew where it's going. It was going bearish. All right. So currently the very last momentum is just simply bearish. All right. And I don't want to say I'm long because I'm not. I would even look for something like this. Okay. That is just an old daily bullish imbalance. That is a reaction area. I wouldn't really try to long from here. Then we transfer onto the volatile time frame and we'll look at this. We're having absolutely beautiful volatile bearish imbalance, taps, continues. Volatile bearish imbalance, taps, continues. Nothing much here. The last one was right there, right? So beautiful price action on YM. Damn, that's nice. So currently we don't have a new volatile bearish, so it's either going to be that daily, okay? or we either like make a little bit of a pullback and then make a new one and then still continue going lower, or guys, again, you know, there is always another thing, we might start reversing. Okay, let's see. I would definitely say I am more bearish on YM simply based on, of course, what we have been doing here within the past few days. Can I say a week? Yeah, we definitely have even kind of a 2 weeks here. Yeah, it's been flushing down for how many bars? Yeah, 6 bars, so maybe a week or something. Okay, let's see. Definitely bearish, but I would love to see a little bit of a pullback and then to start getting some bearish order flow, and I would definitely be happy to short YM. DAX is a very interesting setup for next week, setting up very nicely with that weekly bullish imbalance. So I told my community members this whole week, do not trade DAX, wait for the weekly candle to close. We had the closure of the weekly candle, we're having a bullish weekly imbalance. Well, let's see if we're gonna tap into it. Currently, you can see on the daily time frame, it's quite slow. So I would just say, wait for that weekly, and then from there, just let's see what's gonna happen from there. We dropped to the 40 time frame, very choppy. I had Mihai, the mentor of our community, taking a long trade from here. It chopped him for 2 days until pretty much Friday. Actually took his take profit here, and then we immediately kind of retraced lower. No forward imbalances here within the last pretty much 2 days, nothing to work with. If we get a forward bearish imbalance with a break of structure, I would look for something like this. Okay, forward bearish, break of structure, pull back into that weekly zone, and then as we tap that weekly zone, we gotta wait to see, are we gonna go bullish, are we gonna continue going bearish? That is pretty much out of our control to say from now on, but this will be a setup that I could look for. Hourly bearish into the weekly bullish, and then as we tap into the weekly bullish, then we gotta observe and see if we're gonna start getting some bullish reactions or not. So that is DAX, looks pretty good. Let's see how it plays out. All right, and just to reflect real quick here, the DXY is a little bit indecisive right now. We don't have anything that we finished the week in terms of imbalances. So I'm just looking to see which direction is gonna pick. And looking at EU closed a little bit bullish with that forward imbalance. So it kind of is a little bit 50-50 also after taking that liquidity. So EU is not my favorite pair, but look at GU. GU closed with a daily bearish imbalance and with 4-hourly bearish imbalance here as well. So if I'm to take something, it's very likely going to be a short on GBP/USD, provided the market just doesn't expand crazily higher. Aussie dollar and NZD dollar, probably also not the best one, but if I'm to pick one, it's going to be Aussie dollar because it has like a 4-hourly zone to work with. It has a liquidity target that the market has space towards, so that's good. While, for example, NZD/USD is just ending on a lower low, so you can't really do anything. Gold is very 50-50, very 50-50. It's having this consolidation. It took out the high, massively starts to retrace back into the range, which makes me think that we might attack the opposing side of the liquidity, but I'm only going to trade towards that low if we really continue seeing 4-hourly bearish imbalances being respected. If we disrespect them and we start printing bullish ones, I'm going to be targeting that high. USD/JPY also looks like very nice longs. I would prefer in this one for us to wait on that daily bullish imbalance to form on Monday and then trade it after Tuesday. But overall bullish bias on USDN, which means that the DXY should also start picking up some bullishness. EUR/JPY and GBP/JPY, not my favorites, honestly. You can look for longs on EJ because EUR/USD is also giving us a little bit of a strength. GJ, with GU being so bearish, you don't want a long GJ. I don't know. I don't like it. It's going to get very 50-50. Indices, interestingly, they are all different. ES is a little bit kind of 50-50. It formed like a weekly bullish imbalance that we can be looking to tap. Currently, it looks a little bit more bearish with that forward imbalance. Nasdaq looks super bullish, pushing away, making new all-time highs, printing a new weekly bullish imbalance that we can potentially pull back into if the market doesn't start pushing without tapping it. So this one is more bullish. This one is more bearish. YM, US30, absolutely bearish, right? It's actually having a daily bearish imbalance. If the market pulls back into that, it can definitely give some very nice shorts. Right now, we're tapping into a daily reaction area. So that can give us a little bit of a reaction, a pullback to then continue going lower. So I really like this for shorts. And then DAX, the cherry on the top, it's kind of looking super bullish also with a weekly bullish imbalance. So which index you want to trade, that is your job. Personally, I'm mainly trading ES and NQ. I really like ES. It's like a little bit slower. It kind of gives you a little bit more time to react. Nasdaq sometimes just goes on a rampage, goes very fast. YM is super bearish. If you're looking to short, I would definitely consider YM. But overall, I'm just gonna wait to see how the weekly is gonna open, see where it takes me, and then I'm gonna adapt. This is gonna be potentially the last weekly outlook, the last trading week. So make sure to finish on a good note with good habits, and also start reflecting on your 2024, preparing for 2025. Any questions? Leave them in the comments, and I'm gonna talk to you, I don't know when.